Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bill and Ray Show. I'm out in the torch shop, going to make another marble, and today I'm going to do a piece with some stringers that I made the other day of Disco Sparkle, which is a glass I've used a couple times recently, and I spent quite a bit of time blending this down with just clear glass to try and get a thinned down version that I can use inside the marbles successfully without cracking issues. So that's what we're up to today. I better get some glasses on. Need my shades. So I need one more backing color. So I've got some jet black here. I'll just pull out a stringer real quick. This is kind of the only prep thing. The stringers that I did with this Disco Sparkle, well, I spent probably an hour or so blending down just a little tiny chunk of that with some clear. And I wish I paid closer attention to exactly what the ratio was. It's maybe somewhere like 8:1. I don't think I got 10:1, which is what I was maybe kind of hoping to get to, but it seems like I spent like an hour trying to get it blended down, and I wound up with I don't know, 5 stringers. Each one's about 2 feet long, so made a bunch of stringer material. Okay, those are my 3 colors now, are ready for the backside. And I've got this, I'm going to continue using this dark amethyst for the background, which is not completely opaque, but it makes a pretty nice background and works really well with silver and gold fuming. So, we're jumping right into prepping our main glass rod that I build this marble off of. So we've got a cut end here that we're going to clean up. Not only just the cut end always has a bad, the sharp edges just boil real easily, so we need to melt those and dispose of that glass. But if it's the factory end, it's probably got a little ways back up the glass. It's got some scuzzy stuff going on, scratches, and even just any of these scratches, when you heat it up, that glass starts kind of fizzing. So I need to gather up a bit of an end here. It doesn't have to be too huge, but this first steps to the marble kind of do have a bit of a bearing on how large the finished piece is going to be. And unfortunately with this, I'm seeing quite a bit of some scratches going back up on here. Now we'll get that cleaned up. Get down to some clean glass, all looks uniform. Pretty much any little bright things you see at this stage, you should pluck them out of there now. may not be visible in the finished piece, but okay, that might be enough for what I want to start with. So this project, I'm going to do a cage kind of technique that I've used before, but not for a while. It's actually a technique that I came up with that I really like doing. And I'm going to start out with this sparkling stringer, and then I'm going to use some clear. Also have a thin clear stringer that I pulled out to complete the cage. So we need kind of a bit more focused heat here. Let's see how this goes. I'll come back a little ways onto the larger diameter, touch down, and come out a ways out. Clock a little ways and do the same. Okay, then we're going to connect. Long stringers can be a little challenging to deal with, so we're going to try and attach these gently and work our way around here. Floating around out here in space, trying to see where the clear glass is at in the flame. Then I'm going to kind of do a little star pattern across axis. I don't know why I do the star pattern, it's just something I do. That one kind of became disconnected. So try and get some heat here. We don't want this to cool off too much. It's pretty shaky business. Usually try and have enough clear stringer pulled out here. I'm kind of running out of steam on this one. That'll work. Close enough. This is a very organic pattern. So I'll try and warm this up a little bit. Yeah, come in here first with some silver fume. We'll just hit a little bit on the silver. I'm going to come back with some gold and see if we can deposit some good amount of gold in here. It's kind of weird trying to deposit some gold in just this open frame, but it works. Now, this comes, the main trick of the whole thing is to collapse this down. In a semi-controlled fashion. I'm trying to go for a softer heat here. I got my brass reamer poker, trying to kind of control it. When it gets down, it kind of touches down to the glass rod. Now, from here, it's just kind of a matter of trying to heat this in and minimize the trapped air, which is easier said than done. So this phase is kind of time consuming. So we need to be pretty gentle. Try and heat up that clear mass. And try not to overheat that sparkle glass in particular. When it burns out, it comes up to the surface, it seems to kind of burn a bit. So this is one of those kind of crazy things. You want it to melt down, but trying to do it slowly. And it seems like, well, man, I'm not getting anywhere here. It's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. And like I said, I'm trying to build the heat up into the clear base. And then we can switch to our lynx torch, and again just trying to focusing that heat from the clear base side out. And this, is obviously going to trap some air lines and some bubbles in there, and they all just become part of the mix we got going on. Slowly getting that heat built up. Now I'm kind of letting it, I kind of was building it up against the rod, and I'm going to kind of let it draw out. This is one of those things where the bubbles and the little air lines in there, to me, they actually add features and detail to it that is quite interesting. I'd prefer there not be any big chunky bubbles in there, but this is definitely a process that it's transforming and becoming something of its own. But at this point, it's kind of beyond my control. It's just going to do what it wants to do. Now once we get down to the end here where we think it's pretty well done pushing any air out of there, we can do a bit of a push on the end, and so this is not a full impression, but I am going to sort of transform the shape, pushing things around a little bit. And I'm using a fair bit of force to force this to come together. Yeah, now we're starting to see the start of our Vortex marble. Now this type of a pattern, you don't necessarily see quite the same depth to a vanishing point. Although this one, I think it will let you see down into it pretty well. Okay, now that's our basic core. I always think that switching that foot switch might tone down the flame, but it doesn't work that way. So we're going to do some gold fume, and for that to stick, I need to let that cool off just a moment. Hopefully there's some gold on here. And kind of sunk in the end of the glass here. It's about time to replenish a little gold nugget on here. This is pretty wimpy, but this will work. Okay. Now we're going to use our dark amethyst and do a bunch of random dots. You can tell you got some gold fume on there where it doesn't want to stick always. You got to really heat up your stringer to make sure you touch down good and hot. Where it just kind of pulls away. It's kind of hard to do this without making some sort of pattern, but alright. Wrap this in. And more than just melt this in, we want to burn out that gold in between these dots. Now, the visible gold fume is going to burn out with that sharp flame, but it may still have some residual gold. So we'll come in here with silver. Just do a quick little shot of silver. And come back again with our dark amethyst and another bunch of dots that aren't correlating to what we already did. Oops. And also making these dots kind of random sizes. Okay, a little bit. Come back and burn that in. Here again, we're going to seemingly burn off all that fume, but there's probably still some residual combination of the gold and silver fume in there. And now we're going to coat the entire backside with the same dark amethyst. So I hope everybody out there is having a good day. We pulled out of our winter cycle and we've got all the ice melted off and a lot of the, pretty much all the snow except where it was banked deep. And we were just talking to Ray's folks, and they're over in Bozeman, Montana, and they thought they had at least 2 feet of snow on the ground, compacted, dense snow. And we had some water running around on top of it, which is what I was kind of afraid of around here, is that things melted off, but we didn't get, everything seemed to soak into the ground pretty well. We didn't have any weird runoff problems, which was a real blessing. And as I was coming out to the torch shop just now, we've got birds in the yard singing, and my little black-headed chickadees are out there. They don't quite have the full cheeseburger song going yet, but it's getting pretty close. But yeah, Bozeman is quite a different world in the weather department than what we have around here. We've been referred to as the banana belt of Montana here in the Bitterroot Valley. We just don't get the extreme conditions that much of the rest of the state will see. Whether it's hot weather in the summer or cold weather or snow, rain, whatever it is, seems to be less stressful here. But the property here that we have our home was part of land that my mother bought in '92. I came out here in those early first year and lived on the property for a winter. Then I wound up buying a house up the valley a ways and came back here after 2 years to build the home where I am now. But my mom's been she's been gone now for more than 10 years, and been thinking about her lately. It was kind of a little jarring to me because Ray's folks are still both with us, and they're getting up there, but they're doing all right. But my dad, he passed away 40 years ago. Hard to wrap my brain around how long he's been gone. And Ray and I are pretty much the same age, so anyway, if you have family, even if you don't quite agree or get along with them all the time, be grateful you have family. Okay, that kind of seals up the core. I'm already into working out the back end. Let's see, we want to put down a good bit of silver fume first. The back of this is going to be pretty well sealed off with the color lines on the very backing layer. But I have noticed that this dark amethyst, it's translucent enough, it's really not all that opaque, that this silver layer that I just did will kind of come into play depending on the lighting. But when you have these fume effects, you definitely want something of a, at least partially of a dark nature. It doesn't have to be really black, but sometimes I use some black frit and then follow that with a black layer, or a color layer, or vice versa. Use some colored frit and then a black layer, so at least some of it is dark. So after this marble, I have another little project that I'm hopefully going to do a little video of. Years ago, I should do a little Google search and see if I can find out which episode that was. But Flow magazine, which is kind of a torch working trade magazine, they had an article on blown glass sculptures that were filled with like neon gas or whatever and lit up as kind of a plasma discharge kind of a thing, and I was just really captivated with that. I've always been intrigued with Tesla coils. I've built some of them. I've had different little models of Tesla coils. But in this particular example, they showed this flat base that energized the artwork. And I haven't been really able to figure out how to make one or find a commercially available one that I could buy until just recently. Ran across these. Some of these are out on the market right now as a flat Tesla coil. So I got another little video to work on to start off. I don't have any finished blown glass pieces to show off right now, but hopefully that will be coming up. I have my astronomy and physics t-shirt on. This was the course that my daughter took at the University of Montana, got her physics degree. Physics with astronomy. And for her project at the end of her course before graduation, she did a little presentation demonstration of Tesla coil technology or physics. So I've got several books and a whole document package of all of Tesla's patents. Some books describing his life and his inventions. But he definitely lived in a unique era that I kind of relate to some in terms of the steampunk aesthetic. A time when electronics, well, like your basic radios and stuff, were, you know, the the box and everything was crafted with wood, and components were kind of individual components that were mounted on a wood base, and copper and brass, and maybe some glass insulators, and just a whole lot of basic material science went into creating some of the early electronics, if you will. So I've always kind of resonated to that very simple construction, and more of an artistry. Used to not really remember too much. We had some kind of a record player, radio console in our living room growing up, and it was a big old wood piece of furniture. So it represents a certain kind of construction aesthetic that I just really like. So we'll see. It's another rabbit hole for me to go down, one that I've thought about a lot for years, and I'm really looking forward to playing around with some of these ideas. Build this up a little bit more. Yeah, it's nice to have our chickens finally able to get out, explore the yard, do a little foraging of their own. It was a tough go when we got the chicks. I lose track of it. Timing was 2 years ago, I think. 2 years ago, maybe? And we got our last batch of chicks, and had a tough go of it. The first chicks that I got, several of them died. I had to go back and buy some others. Wound up with kind of a variety of different breeds of hens, and so glad that we wound up with some different birds. So it's not just a flock of all the same breed, so that's been a lot of fun too. But with all the trauma drama over eggs, kind of glad I'm not trying to jump into the buying new chicks this year business. Because the year that we did it, I mean, it was crazy trying to buy chicks, and they were way more expensive than I'd ever paid for chicks before. Alright, let's just settle down here a second. Okay, we'll start with black. As much as I paused there before laying down lines, it already drifted off center a bit. You gotta just keep rolling and rolling with whatever shape you've got to work with. Okay, that was teal, teally, teal, really teally, I guess it is. And then this is the sparkling blue Unobtanium. Pretty dark mix for the background. This is also kind of part of that containment of light passing through. Find the mug of marbles. I don't work long hours in the torch shop the way I used to, but I used to always, be kind of big on having something to drink, stay hydrated, but it was also kind of a means of forcing break times. That was kind of back in the days when I was cranking out beads. So any given bead was only a 5-10 minute operation generally. Usually 5 minutes was all I spent on little beads. And so you could step away anytime. No big deal. When you get into some different glass work and you're less able to step away from it that easily. A lot of people just be like, just throw it in the kiln, and for a lot of different work that's fine. I don't have a kiln that I can really easily do that with. So, and then for pieces like this, even if it's just barely stuck in the kiln, that heat is going to build up on that rod, and it's going to get harder to hold on to anywhere close to where I'd like to be. Okay, time to do some raking. Okay. Try and come back to the center. I think it's something like the center there. Alrighty, keep this in. Looking pretty good. So I'm going to introduce this to the mold and just do a little, just kind of letting it run around in there. Smooth it out, shape it up just a little bit. All right. Punchy rod ready. Yeah, try and get this front lens started and get it on track here. And wow, my phone is coming through with a bunch of messages. Must be some good sales at Harbor Freight or something going on. I heat up this punty end, and it's kind of, when things are a little bit off concentric, it can be a little weird trying to keep things in alignment again. And sometimes you just have to kind of soften up that punty mark and try and focus your rotation. I always talk about getting the command authority. The authority should be on the punty, not on the part that you're melting. Trying to build up this clear to kind of bulge out over the edge of the circumference. Kind of this acorn shape going on. Try and keep going, melt the rod in now, kind of leave the bulk of the marble alone, just try and build up this mass of glass on the front face. Then, I forgot my roller thing again over here. I don't know if I can grab that one. It's probably too dicey trying to grab that. Okay, I'll just do it the way I've always doing it here. Cut this in on the edge of the Delmarver. And this also kind of chills the feed rod and really focus the heat on the marble side. Pull it out just a little bit and then stop. Yeah, start ripping off the edge. still have to kind of discipline myself, keep the tweezers in the water until I'm ready to use them. I'm trying to knock the waste glass into my tray and not into the water, so as not to heat up my water container. The colder that water is, the better off this works. And when we're finishing up, we have to kind of be gentle so we don't pull out and burn off the glass where it's thinned out. I saw a post by somebody that was saying they needed to buy some new tweezers, and I, through the years, have gone through my fair share of tweezers, but I also tend to grind or file or and rehab them before just tossing them. These little tweezers, these aren't very expensive. 7-inch tweezers, I think they are. But you do want to make sure the stainless steel tweezers are not chrome plated. Okay. That should be good enough to melt this back. Trying to get an upward angle on the puntee. This is where you have this kind of balance. It's nice to have a long-ish puntee, and I mean the weight of the marbles weigh more than the puntee, but you get a little bit more balance when you're able to get way back on the puntee. You get away from the heat for one. you just have a lot better control when you have a long handle. But long handle runs into things too, so at some point it's kind of a hindrance. Okay, so now we'll hit the L marver and try and get this, kind of barreled, headed towards round. So then it's kind of this cycle, kind of heating this and smoothing it out. You can see a little speck on here. And then we have to let this cool off a little bit before we transfer it. So hopefully this marble has some sparkle to it. And hopefully the gold and silver fuming combination produces a bit of color. So now, just trying to get this to round out. So this backside needs to kind of expand a bit. Just go level into the mold and leave that end sticking out a bit. Getting toasty. Okay, this time we'll go in and go all the way through the end. And once we're there, we can start doing some pressure. We got a good bit of the shaping going now. So the marble shaping, you get to a certain point and you're not really wanting the core to move or distort. You're just trying to get the outer layer to get round and smooth. So those first couple manipulations, you have to get the whole thing as hot as you can, kind of, to really move. And if you have the time and patience, you just kind of let it cook and round out on its own. It will eventually. When you can, you want to get it spinning rapidly. And let it cool a little bit. Again, trying to just get the surface to move and leave the core alone. Ooh, I got it ran up pretty good, but I got a little bump on the end sticking out. That's the thing. At this front, I picked off a little bright spot, but I didn't melt it in. So this front half is not it's not cooperating. It's not helping out this process. I should have melted that in better. I need to come all the way up, kind of move up and down through that. That's how you get the rounding effect, is by changing your angle of attack. At this point, I think we're pretty much there. We're just going to use some heat. Let it chill. Whew. I see sparkles. So what I want to see is bands and organic areas of sparkle. Again, I'm focused on the new punty. Let the other punty float until it softens up enough to bring that through. If you do that right, your new punty is concentric and running true. Okay, before we hit the marble mold again, we need to get this glowing hot. And then come out of the heat and gently put it down from the back side first. And then bring it up and run it through that same cycle of going up and down. Okay, the next cycle not quite so hot. Not quite feeling the smooth running that I'd like. So that last run did not quite accomplish it. I don't know who's causing an issue here. Try this with a smaller diameter. That's the smooth running. I want to just feel that just spins like a ball bearing. Okay, going through a good amount of heat and just get out of the fire and let it cool down. one more cycle, and we're going to call it good. Especially that very front face, we want to keep that good and hot. And keep spinning. Once you get out of the flame, it's most important to keep spinning then. Well, that back pattern is an open enough structure that you can actually see down into the silver fume layer below. So I thought it would pull together and be more of a dense, opaque layer, but I had my lines kind of spaced out. You know, it's that first wrap of lines kind of determines how much room you leave for the other two lines. And the way that turned out, it actually kept a separation with clear in between the lines, which gives you a little bit different look of it. It's actually, that's great. I'm glad I did that. Alrighty. So heat up and smooth out that last little separation. And that is looking great. Okay, that's what we've got for you this week. Thanks so much for hanging out, watching these videos. Keep kind of exploring and trying out some different glass and different techniques, and some of this is kind of repetitive, but it's just kind of trying to show what the whole process is all about, and little bumps along the road. So she's going to go in the kiln, lock, and be able to check out a beautiful marble tomorrow morning when I come out here and find what the kiln gods have left us. Anywho, you guys all take care of yourselves, take care of everyone around you. Be good, be kind, and we will see you next time.